Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I was looking for stuff to do on this video on this morning, and the information just kept flowing and flowing and flowing, and it would never stop. Sometimes that happens where I just can't find a good cutoff place because there's so many different things coming out. Now, there's two things I want to mention before I forget in this video. The first is that my 8-year-old finished his coach pitch season with a 1,000 batting average. Now, I'm telling you this because I want all of you out there, especially you young people out there, to understand how important persistence is, never giving up. This child, when he turned 5 years old, because he had an older brother, this child has hit 2 buckets of balls 3 days a week, year round, since he was turned 5. Every year, all year. This child finished the season yesterday with a 1,000 batting average. That means that he has never not gotten on base. He has only been gotten out, him personally, like tagged out or something. He got tagged out one time, and that's because I sent him home when I shouldn't have. It was actually my fault. I've never, in the history of watching baseball, I have never seen anybody, kid or adult, go an entire season batting 1,000 in any league, and that includes my older son. This kid did it this year. He finished the season batting 1,000. So I told him I was going to have a trophy especially made for him that said that he finished the season batting 1,000. And I'm going to make sure that the trophy is taller than any of his older brother's trophies because that matters to him. He gets picked on by the older brother so much. So that's a big deal. Now, another thing I wanted to mention before I go any further in this video, I'm looking for a crypto credit card, but not just any credit card. What I want is, because I use credit cards in my business, I want a crypto rewards, specifically if it was something other than just Bitcoin, like XRP, Stellar, some of these others. But I want a crypto rewards credit card for myself to use. But not a debit card. Is there any such thing? Does anybody out there know? Because I've been looking. Does anybody out there know of a credit card like a Visa, Amex, that gets crypto rewards? I don't want I don't want a card that I can spend my crypto on. I want a Visa or an Amex or something like that, where when I spend my US dollars, or when I use the credit function, I'm accumulating rewards in crypto. That's what I want. Okay? If you know of a good one out there, let me know. And we'll once I find the right one, then I will let all of you know. And it has to be something that can be used in the United States too. Keep that in mind. All right, Jeff Sutton sent me this. From Michael at VAL5 Link, U.S. cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase has disabled trading due to feed issues and amid Bitcoin's ascension towards 2019 highs near 13,880. Now, this is pitiful, folks. We've been in a bear market for 3 years. These were the kind of problems that Coinbase was having 3 years ago. If you're telling me that Coinbase has not prepared themselves for a bull run, they ought to be criticized highly for that. If these guys, it never fails. Every time this market begins to take flight, there's some kind of a hiccup at Coinbase. I do not understand what in the world is going on over there. That makes no sense. No sense. All right, here's something interesting. Big Skinny sent me this. Now, this is interesting, folks. All right. And remember, Big Skinny is the official smart aleck of the Digital Asset Investor channel. We do have official smart alecks on this channel, or at least we've got one. This news is from the Clearinghouse. Early warning and the Clearinghouse complete critical integration milestone of the Zelle and RTP networks. Real-time settlement of Zelle transactions on the RTP network enables expanded use cases and increased efficiency of P2P, small business, and disbursement payments for participating financial institutions. PNC Bank and U.S. Bank first to pilot the integration. PNC, which was Ripple's first live customer, I believe. Right? Okay, now I want to draw your attention to this. Zelle and the RTP network make it faster and easier for FIs of all sizes and their customers to accelerate everyday tasks, from paying bills to issuing invoices to settling insurance claims, all while helping to reduce costs due to reconciliation issues, credit balances, and capital reserves, said Steve Ledford, Senior Vice President of Product Strategy and Development for the Clearinghouse. Well, what is the Clearinghouse? Here's the Clearinghouse. Real-time payments for all financial institutions. It's the RTP network. Let's look at who some of their participants are. Well, there's Bank of America. There's BNY Mellon. You'll notice all sorts of partners of Ripple on this list right here, folks. PNC, there's Wells Fargo, there's TD, there's US Bank. Oh, there you go, JP Morgan, HSBC. Let's look at something else. Who are the technology providers? Anybody recognize ACI? Or how about Volanti, a Ripple partner? Folks, it's all right before your eyes now. Steve Ledford, who's the guy in this, I decided to go look and see if Steve Ledford would pop up in any Steve Ledford Ripple searches. Now this, I've shown video from Cybos back in 2015. I've shown you what some of the people from BNY Mellon that were there were saying. I've shown you a lot of different things. Well, here's Steve Ledford, the Senior Vice President, the Clearinghouse. I'm going to go to the halfway point. Listen to what he says. See if you hear anything you've been hearing.
Payments go a little faster. That's interesting. It's valuable. I'm thinking about things that we aren't even imagining right now. We've been talking to really product managers and segment managers at our banks, and what they're hearing from their customers and some of the ideas that are coming up, truly novel, truly creative, and I think that's going to be a huge benefit. And it bugs me when we hear people talk about banks and then talk about innovators as if they're two mutually exclusive groups. I want banks to be the innovators, and I think this is a platform that will allow them to do that. Well, there's a few things. First and foremost, make sure you bring up Australia up and get them going pretty well, and any other countries where you are providing that infrastructure. Very immediate need. But I think also some of the things you're doing right now, this is the place where the world comes together to deal with payments. You bring a lot of expertise, and I think continuing to do that, just a part of the community, working with all of us, we can make this happen, and we can make it also a truly global thing. Right now, we're all working either in our countries or within our regions to make it work, and you have to do that. But we need to keep our eye on the long-term vision where we become interoperable and we can make real-time payments something.
There's that word again. Interoperable. All right. Now, did a little more searching for Steve Ledford, and here's some places he showed up. Who is driving the Speed Up Payment Initiative in the U.S.? September 21st of 2015. Well, Steve Ledford is right here, the Clearinghouse. Ledford is the current CEO at the Clearinghouse. He has more than 30 years experience in the payment industry. Well, what do you know? Look who's down here. Ryan Zagone, Ripple Labs. Last but not least, Zagone is head of research at Ripple Labs and key figure behind Ripple Protocol. He brings extensive tech knowledge to the team. And then there was this from I Am Legion. There was a Finextra article, May 28th. Let's see when this was, 2020. The U.S. Faster Payments Council, a membership organization devoted to advancing faster payments in the United States, today released the results of the 2020 election for its board of directors. So this is now in 2020. So in 2020, we have Steve Ledford here, the Clearinghouse, term ends 2023, and Pat Thielen, Ripple, term ends 2021. Okay, so there they are. Okay, all right. Michelle Vandenberg sent me this from Barry Silbert, Raoul Paul. I talked about him yesterday. Gold investors will flip to Bitcoin as Bitcoin blasts past 13.8K. Interesting times coming, folks. Interesting times. Now, Digital Assets Daily says Cambodia officially launches digital currency backed by central bank. So now we have, my understanding is that we now have live. We've got the Bahamas, digital sand dollar. We've got Cambodia. They've got their own digital currency. All right. Crypto Rand says MicroStrategy investment on Bitcoin is already sitting on an $89 million plus profit. That's amazing, is it not? Does that happen in the stock market? I don't think so. And then this is interesting from XRP Bart. Sent me this. Some have asked, Michael Saylor, this is the guy from MicroStrategy. Some have asked how much Bitcoin I own. I personally hodl 17,732 Bitcoin, which I bought at 9,882, which each on the average. I informed MicroStrategy of these holdings before the company decided to buy Bitcoin for itself. All right. So I don't know if I'd be telling people I had that much Bitcoin, but he did. All right. Now, XRP Bart also sent me this. This is an infographic explains and visualizes the 10 trillion plus 2020 economic stimulus by the Federal Reserve. They're illustrating the absurdity of this is what they're, now remember, every dollar that you're about to see is money that the United States does not have. Let that sink in. I'll say it again. Every dollar that you're about to see that is involved in this 10 plus trillion dollar 2020 economic stimulus is money that the United States does not have. They're in debt over like 20 something trillion dollars. That's what $100 looks like. $10,000, $1 million, $100 million. $100 million equals 1 year of work for 3,500 average Americans. $1 billion. There's $27 billion. Look at them. They ought to be pouring it into a hole. $1 trillion. That looks like the White House. That's a jet. And that's a truck in relation to that size. 2020, $2 trillion emergency stimulus package by U.S. government. And then they've got a video here. But look how ridiculous this is, folks. This is how silly and ridiculous all this is. And it's not going to end well. Chinu Patel sent me this. And this is from Zelle. In other words, it's up to the SEC to decide, therefore move because Jay Clayton, that's what I believe. Now, I made a point online the other day. What I've never understood, and it's not just the decision makers like Brian Brooks, but it's also Brad Garlinghouse. It's the guys at Ripple. They all make a habit, whether it's Laura Shin or whether it's Anthony Pompliano. They know that Bitcoin is not the one and never has been, but they all go and do interviews with these Bitcoin maxis that don't even like Ripple or XRP. And I've never understood it. Brad Garlinghouse goes and does interview with Anthony Pompliano, who I don't think he doesn't get it. I think he completely gets what Ripple and XRP are, but I think he plays dumb. But goes and does an interview with this guy, and the guy doesn't even like Ripple and makes no bones about it. Is not gonna be a cheerleader at all. And they go on these shows. This Laura Shin, she's a Bitcoin maxi. She's been against Ripple for a long time. And I'm not saying Brian Brooks is directly aligned with Ripple. I'm just saying he knows that Bitcoin is not what this is all about. Changing the payment system and and the reserve currency. He knows that Bitcoin has nothing to do with that. And they go on these shows with these silly, simple-minded people that don't get it or pretend not to get it. It might be pretend not to get it because I don't think Laura Shin is dumb. So if she's not dumb, then why is she still hung up on this Bitcoin that she knows sometimes can take you 3 hours to send when the network's overloaded? Listen.
But then, of course, I don't control the securities markets. And so who's going to tell us whether, XRP is the security or, whether something else is a violation of the Commodity Exchange Act? You have to talk to those other regulators. And that's, again, partly a strength of our system because power is diffused. And so it's not concentrated in one set of hands. But on the other hand, it makes it harder to give clarity. So my promise to the industry is, as long as I'm here, I will provide as much clarity as I can on all of the crypto matters that are within my jurisdiction. You've seen us starting on that. We have more to say if there's time.
But this woman right here, mark my words and I'll prove it. She's bad news. She does not like Ripple and does not like XRP. She has some issue with people at Ripple getting rich and all this. I'll never forget it. She wrote this article, Ripple's Chris Larson, meet the richest person in cryptocurrency. She intentionally did this to try to get Ripple on people's radar as something to watch, is more or less what I think she was doing. I'll never forget it. I saw David Schwartz one time. He wrote something to the effect of that he knew, it was in an interview or something. He was talking to somebody, and he said that he knew that in 2017, when the market went crazy, he knew when he saw this article that the market, that the XRP price would tank, because this is kind of like one of those moments. And I think that she intentionally wrote the article for the purpose of doing that. If you look at the date of it, February 7th, remember, don't ever forget these Bitcoin maxis, their worst nightmare. The thing that keeps them up at night is that Bitcoin gets jumped by better technology, because then there's no reason for anyone to be in Bitcoin. Make no mistake, there's a war. And if you still don't believe that this woman has a major problem with Ripple, listen, look at these remarks right here. Smart alecky
So I've said this
stuff.
before on my podcast, Ripple, the company, they're definitely probably one of the leaders when it comes to enterprise blockchain. They are kind of like massively wealthy in addition for creating this extra
she's got an
cryptocurrency
issue.
that they hold like 60% of the supply or something like that. And it hasn't really gained adoption. So meanwhile, they're because they're all becoming very wealthy off of it. So we'll see if they can
how wealthy they are.
make it live up to the value that it has.
So she's been one of the bad guys. And then here's a tweet from David Schwartz. Laura Shin, heard you weren't interested in having me to join Corey TV on your upcoming podcast about XRP. Bummed because I think your audience is smart enough to follow along and I could add to the conversation in a meaningful way. Are you sure you can't make room for one more? So she didn't want David Schwartz to come on there and tell her the truth and set the record straight on anything. And that's how she's been. I mean, man, there's a lot of good guys and bad guys in this space. XRP Bart sent me this from Brad Garlinghouse. He tweeted yesterday, UK's FCA and Singapore's MAS have been leaders for years in providing clarity on using trading assets. No surprise that both countries have traditional FIs leaning into using this technology. DBS pre-announcement today is a prime example. And he says some have suggested Ripple is fleeing the U.S., and he's referring to Jake Chervinsky, that attorney I was showing you the other day, and I'll show you more of him in a minute. Some have suggested Ripple's fleeing the U.S. Let me unequivocally say this is absolutely not the case. We're a proud U.S.-based company and would like to stay here, but a lack of regulatory clarity and level playing field is forcing us to evaluate other jurisdictions. Okay, and now let's see what we had here. Okay, and then XRP Crypto Wolf had sent this out, and then I'll show you another interesting tweet. Ripple strengthens its partnership with SBI Holdings by investing in MoneyTap. MoneyTap will now be able to speed up development of new functions and services such as community currency, corporate payments, as well as inbound and outbound remittances. Wonder why Ripple would want to invest in MoneyTap. Julian Flash sent me this. U.S. may have one card left to play, which is digitizing the U.S. dollar. As a technology superior form of money, digital dollar could help form a moat around the greenback. However, I also think that the need for interoperability with other currencies and payment systems. Now, this is from October 2020 Forbes Crypto Asset and Blockchain Advisor. That's pretty interesting comment right there. Now, this I showed you the other day. This was this guy taking a shot at Ripple the other day, Jake Chervinsky. Well, apparently Ripple's general counsel, Stuart Alderati, decided he was going to strike back a little bit. You can't beat a little Twitter fight, some Twitter fisticuffs between really smart attorneys. Jake, no one is fleeing. We're a proud U.S. company, but we don't have a cohesive regulatory framework here that keeps market participants guessing. Regulation consistently applied should yield predictable results. Too many smart lawyers like you are left reading tea leaves. And then he comes back, Jake Chervinsky. Thanks for your reply. I hope you know I mean no offense. But if you didn't, let's stop here. If you didn't mean no offense, then you would not have made that other comment in your thread saying, Ripple used to be the darling of Silicon Valley. It was a total smart alecky thing. You did mean offense, and you're being a smart aleck. So let's words mean things. And the way you said that was intentionally offensive. So let's get over that. But there's no cohesive regulatory framework anywhere, nor should we expect one for novel tech in its early stages. We can and should work to advance good policy here at home, unless you plan to stop serving U.S. customers too. Now, let me make a point about Twitter. I see this crap all the time. Let's get something out of the way about Twitter and making comments on Twitter, folks. These people like this that say, "Oh, I didn't mean any offense." Look, I see this every day on Twitter. These people that go on Twitter and they try to act like they're, "Oh, well, I'm just concerned about this or that," or it was a complete innocent comment. These are passive aggressive people in life. I see this every day. Oh, well, they make a comment that goes out to the public, and then they try to throw their hands up and they try to act like, "Oh, I didn't mean any offense by that. I didn't mean anything by that. I wasn't saying anything." Well, here's the deal. Here's how it works in the real world, real life relationships. And I think a lot of these people that are on Twitter saying all this kind of stuff and always acting like this, I think they're people that can't really exist too well in real life, and that's why they're on Twitter. But the way it works, folks, and it's very common sense and simple. If I want to be a jerk to you and go out and say something like this, and do the passive aggressive thing, then I'll do it publicly. But if I really had good intentions, then I wouldn't have written that down publicly for everyone to see. That's just the fact, Jack. That's common sense. If I really want to say something that's in Ripple's best interest, I'm going to say it to Ripple behind the scenes, because I don't want to publicly try to make them look bad. But that's not what the guy did here. If you have good intentions, then you'll do it face to face with the person if you have the guts, which that's the core of the problem with most people on Twitter. But if you really have good intentions, then you won't say it publicly to throw any kind of a negative inference out there. You would say it to Stuart Alderay or to Ripple. You would say it to the person. But that's the problem, see? And for those of you that are on Twitter all the time, that's always a red flag. You always have to ask yourself the question. Now, if this person really has good intentions, why are they saying it publicly? Why not just go to the person and say it? And therein lies the real meat of the matter, folks. Because if you see people doing that, that's because they don't have good intentions. If they had good intentions, then they would do the thing that is not cowardly, and they would go to the person, right? Well, that's the problem here. And I think that Stuart Alderay kind of calls him out here on that. You brought up the class action as well. Here's what the judge said in her most recent ruling. Happy to chat one-on-one. In other words, don't do this out here in public. If you really don't mean offense, don't do this out in public. Be an adult and say what you've got to say to my face. Say it to me directly. Don't try to show out for all these people publicly if you really have good intentions in mind. But if you don't, then you'll do all this public, "Oh yeah, Ripple's fleeing. They are, they used to be the darling of Silicon Valley." I mean, come on, folks. I'm 46-year-old. That's children stuff right there, going on to Twitter and making these snide comments or whatever. Come on. All right. Or as Joe Biden says, come on, man. Jonathan D. I think this is where I am. Jonathan, let's see. Yeah. Jonathan D. says, sent me this right here. Let's see. Caitlin Long, more lawyers. Now, this is a really long thread. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but she says, "Hey, crypto lawyers, buckle up. Buckle in because a big piece of U.S. crypto regulatory puzzle fell in place yesterday. Culminates more than 2-year process, coordinating with SEC and other regulators. To clarify, now I'm going to go to one of her last entries here because this is the bottom line of it. It says, to sum up, an unclear area of U.S. crypto regulation, qualified custodian. just got much needed clarification just in time for a wave of RIAs and other institutional investors now buying Bitcoin for their customers. That's awesome for crypto. Good stuff. Now, today, I was made to laugh out loud by XRP, the Standard Productions. And anytime that he makes me laugh out loud, I have to show it to you. Ripple boxes up CTO David Schwartz in preparation for headquarters relocation. There's David Schwartz getting boxed up, preparing for their inevitable corporate headquarter relocation due to lack of regulatory clarity around the digital asset XRP in the United States. Blockchain payments company Ripple has boxed up their belongings, including CTO David Schwartz. We'd love to stay, and in fact, we've been begging for regulatory certainty around XRP for years, said Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of San Francisco-based company that has painfully seen Chinese-centric Bitcoin and Ethereum be granted non-security status from the SEC since 2018. But we realize now that it's time to seek more forward-thinking lands. Come on, David, hop in the box. And then they've got, this really made me laugh. They've got the escrow account safe that they're loading up. Movers readying Ripple's escrowed XRP for trip overseas. The company packed up all property Tuesday, including CTO David Schwartz, in preparation for an inevitable corporate headquarter relocation. The Silicon Valley firm did not tell XRP Productions reporters when they would pull the trigger on the move or whether they would reconsider U.S. officials. And then this is great. I can't really tell you if it'll happen next week or next month, said Garlinghouse, as he stenciled extremely fragile on the CTO's box. But we'll have all our stuff ready. Mark my words, David. Slide over. I'm going to poke some air holes, in this thing. That is great. Go give XRP, the Standard Productions, a follow and get on his Coil blog and read this. That's good stuff. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button. And tell your friends and family that it looks like they're boxing David Schwartz up for a big move. Thanks for listening.
Every day, billions of people around the world are mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and embarrassed by their friends, family, and even strangers. These people go through their days knowing there are secrets being kept from them. They hear the faint whispers behind closed doors. The information and knowledge is held very close and only shared with others who were fortunate enough to find out. Feeling lost, rejected, and ostracized, these people give up, never finding out what digital assets the digital asset investor holds. But there is hope. Join the free Digital Asset Investor email newsletter and find out what digital assets he owns each month, including investments he's considering. Click the link in the description of this video or go to digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com. Put an end to your days of gloom and depression. Join the greatest free digital asset email newsletter ever created.